Welcome everybody. It's very good of you to join us this Thursday afternoon. This is, we hope, the first of many events with the rather pithy title of Thursday Teatime at 3:30, unless you're abroad, and then it's not. The idea is to hold it every 2 weeks. And before we get started, just wanted to take you through a few housekeeping points. We are recording this. This is really not so much for posterity, but because Andy and I in particular are very old and forgetful. Therefore, it would be good to have a reminder as Ben is wheeling us around in our bath chairs. Probably for ease of viewing, it's worth keeping the panelists and speakers on the right-hand side of your screen. And if you want to ask a question, there is a Q&A button at the bottom. The purpose of today and subsequent events is to get some great insights from a leading brand. We're delighted to have Stu from Pernod Ricard here today. We'll then have 3 solutions partners who will be presenting for 3 minutes each, and then they'll have a further 3 minutes of questions. And they are all solutions partners from our portfolio who we've chosen, who we think are relevant in these particularly interesting times. The whole thing is going to be done in half an hour, so it's pretty tight. And as I said, this is going to run every 2 weeks. We'd also like to thank our 2 sponsors, Hayes McIntyre and Lewis Silkin, for their support. They've got some genuinely useful content from the legal and financial side, and they are available to give you free advice. So should you need to know any more or need any help on either the legal or financial side, please either get in touch with them or get in touch with us, and we'll put you in touch. There's an email address to contact us at the end. And finally, if you want, please follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn, as we're about to unleash a tsunami of activity, as if you weren't already bombarded with tons of crap as it is. So really, to remind you who we are before we get started, we've always been here to simplify the digitization of marketing, comms, sales and HR function, and COVID just speeds up the need to embrace this approach. And we enable brands to adjust positively and quickly to this. In effect, we're old lags, we're not snot-nosed youth. And what does that mean? We empower you to be more effective, we filter out buzzword-laden bullshit, we're not distracted by shiny stuff if they don't add value, and we understand your challenges and work with you to find solutions with our portfolio of goodness. And those goodies are solutions we have gone out to find around the world from scale-ups. There are tens or hundreds of thousands of solutions out there, and we find the ones which we genuinely think will make a difference to you and help you do a better job. And this is supported by our unrivaled network of contracted C-level associates, various ugly mugs there from lots of great and good places, from retail, senior brand, agency, etc. We recognize you suffer from cognitive paralysis in these difficult times, and we and our team of associates are there to help you actually do something about it with our deep domain expertise. But anyway, enough of that. I would love now to introduce you to Stuart Heffernan, who's ex-head of e-commerce in the UK and now has taken on a global role. The idea was this was going to be a fireside chat, but the best our marketing department could come up with in these rather constrained times was this. So without further ado, Stu, great to have you here. I'd like to ask the first question of you, if that's all right. In terms of lockdown, and in terms of Pernod Ricard being the second biggest spirits and drinks brand in the world, have you noticed any difference recently?
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for a great intro, and it's nice to speak to everyone. Not really, business as usual. It's not much happening, and it's a quiet year. Only if only that was the case. I'm always reminded of the Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. And yeah, very much it's been an interesting kind of ride. And I think, no, I think it really, from a personal point of view, I'm based in Paris, but I live in London, and I came back about 6 weeks ago on a Wednesday. where I decided on the Thursday morning to cancel all my travel for the following week when the French got locked down. And on that Friday, I was working from home. And then I saw reports of Sainsbury's running out of stock of toilet rolls. So about 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, I decided to take a drive up to Sainsbury's, have a look around, thinking it's a bit all overblown. My quiet Sainsbury's in sunny Staines can't be that bad. And all of a sudden I was greeted by something from like the dawn of the dead, where empty shelves abound and people panicking. I had a walk around and I noticed that by that time there was no toilet paper left. We kind of forgotten about that, but there was several people with quite a lot of alcohol in their trolleys, which I tried to surreptitiously film, but then felt quite bad about it. It's probably not exactly legal, because there was, and I did get a photo of some individual, not the person, but the trolley with 3 bottles of vodka stacked up at the very early stages. So um, it was really interesting to see human behaviour, and I think that we started analysing what was starting to happen at massive pace. Obviously, for us in China, we've had a bit of foresight of it because, our global travel retail business has slowed down. It's not rocket science, and our financial performance has been widely reported. And our on-trade obviously has slowed down, and that's increased across the globe as this virus has moved. But, what has happened is that very quickly, the power of the human spirit, e-commerce has accelerated significantly overnight. And I don't think, we've been doing weekly calls to understand what's happening in our more COVID mature markets, such as China and South Korea, and how they've coped. The European markets like Spain and Italy have been sort of at the epicenter for the past few weeks. And we've been doing a lot of delving to see how those markets have coped. And then we've had our LATAM markets sort of viewing and saying, oh, kind of shit, this is coming our way. So help us understand, what do we do? Is there opportunities? How do we help mitigate this challenge of having no bars in some markets, or very limited bars, to actually what can e-commerce deliver? But it's not been unprecedented either, because I'm old enough to remember that when broadband got installed, everyone said that e-commerce would explode and it would be, go wild forever. Well, it took off thanks to broadband. And then we had the financial crisis, which was good for e-commerce because it enabled people to measure their pennies a bit more. And that'll be it now. People will never go in store again. And now that's what's happening now. So people are saying, oh, it's going to be e-commerce all the way forward and everything. And I don't know. We're taking a view that, it's in a lot of growth now. It's been a really interesting time. There's heaps of data going around. So we're in a phase of actioning on the short term, but we'll take a longer term view in time.
So this is still speeding things up for you, I guess. Are you seeing difference in behaviour in different geographic markets?
There's definitely nuances, but it's been really quite odd how similar the behaviour has been from a consumption point of view in particular. One example is that we learned quite quickly, one piece of hindsight from this is we perhaps should have been a bit more focused on what our Chinese team was doing in Jan and Feb when they had a proper lockdown, which would never happen in the West, would it? As we kind of thought. And we found that actually, when we started analysing stuff, they had been doing social media-led bartending courses and mixology courses and home drinking, which I'm led to believe is a big sort of cultural real no in China. That's changed overnight through necessity. And then we found that our Italian team had reported exactly the same thing going on, completely independently of what's happening in China. So. And then obviously we've seen that in other markets. So we're seeing the human kind of need for interaction, socialness, and having a drink together has remained pretty similar across the globe. But how that's delivered and how it goes about is down to there are some differences with, depends on the politics of the country, with alcohol being banned in South Africa, etc. So that's quite, can bring some challenges.
Okay, brilliant. Well, listen, thanks for that. We're now going to pass straight into our 3 solutions partners. So Bybers, if you're ready, we would like to have you on. Stu, thanks very much for that. If anyone's got any questions, feed them through to us. And if you've got a moment in your busy schedule, we'll find a way of feeding them back. So Bybers, over to you. So Bybers is here representing Bolt. Bybers, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Alex. Yep. Hello, everyone. My name is Baybar Sumur, and I'm the head of growth at Bolt Insight. Bolt is an automated smart market research platform that instantly collects feedback from fresh respondents using social media in less than 3 hours. Bolt can be used for innovation testing, advertising testing, or brand awareness tracking purposes. Among the online market research solutions, consumer panels are still the most widely used recruitment tool. However, they also bring in a number of issues to be dealt with. First of all, there is no guarantee that competitive research professionals or brand marketers will not be in the same panel, which is a huge risk for confidentiality reasons. Since participants get paid very little per each survey, they almost become professional survey participants, resulting in biased or low quality survey answers. And most importantly, participants are categorized through ancient limited screener questions instead of their natural behaviors. Our approach is completely different. It's a fairly new technology, although we've been actively working with many brands across the world since 2018. And I believe the best way to describe our capabilities is to show you a real life example. This is a project done in Germany with a fashion and clothing brand active in 47 countries. They came up with 10 new design alternatives for their gift packages and wanted to find out the most preferred new design compared to the existing designs they had doing this test among their own consumers. So using Facebook audience data, we ran narrow targeted ads across Facebook and Instagram to recruit people, participants who already purchased products from a ready-to-wear store over the last 12 months. So instead of asking if they are the users of this category, we already knew that they were. Interviews are done with a total of 410 participants in a 5-minute long mobile survey, and the data collection took just under 4 hours. And as a next step, we followed up with a detailed report with analysis, including our own recommendations for the next steps for the brand team. So just to recap the full project flow, we received the brief, created the questionnaire, formed a mobile survey using our technology, collected the data, and shared the report. And the end-to-end research time was a complete 22 hours. Normally, this is a process taking weeks. However, using our technology, it's now possible to do it in the same day. And not only creating efficiency and speed, as we cut the middlemen and lose all unnecessary steps, we also create major cost efficiency. Thank you very much for listening. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have later on.
Brilliant. Stu, do you have any questions for Bybers?
Yeah, I've got a quick question because I was reviewing this earlier and that's a really interesting presentation. Thanks. There's a lot of data and information going on there. How do you guys ensure that your clients don't end up with analysis paralysis or too much information?
Well, first of all, we have a live dashboard. So as you do your research, you can already follow the results in real time. And if you want to deep dive, depending obviously on the type of research or the objective and the questions used, say for example, for concept testing, you get to identify the best performing concepts and optimize your product features with the key metrics like purchase intent, relevance, uniqueness, or value for money. So say, for example, for ad testing, you can do change based on copy or ad tracking. So really what you really need to look at in terms of the objective of the research.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions out there?
Yeah, Babies, there's a quick question here. In terms of the types of business metrics that you guys can sort of turn the dial for, can you give any other examples of how their brands and businesses can sort of benefit from the tool and what they measure success by?
Yeah, I mean, in the agile side, there are already, you should expect to have cost reduction through removing third parties and middlemen from the picture. But not only that, just imagine the amount of resources put in from senior people's times, and from the traditional research, coming up with ideas and trying to prioritize them usually takes weeks. And I believe the biggest efficiency we create is we remove the risk of failure out of the picture by allowing them to fail quickly and just find out the wrong path as you create ideas like in the same day and optimize them. Just as an example, we completed the project last week, which was a communication and idea test to see whether an existing claim, which was priorly successful in another market, could overcome the new idea they developed to be launched in the new market. We could find out the winner strategy by comparatively testing them in the same day. So before they decided to dedicate $1 million worth of media budget to this launch, they already knew which idea will perform better. And as I said, this is done in a single day.
Brilliant. Bybers, thank you very much. For any more questions about Bolt, please come back to us and you'll see an email address at the end. So we're now moving straight on to Keith Curley from Gladcloud. Keith, could you start sharing a screen, please? I'll just take you off mute.
You seen the screen there now, yeah?
Yep, all good.
Excellent. Thanks, Alex. Good afternoon, all. We founded this business on the basis of recognizing that lots of big brands are changing the way they want to do B2B customer marketing with their local retail partners, such as the relationship between an alcoholic beverage brand and pubs, professional cosmetics brands and salons, and food delivery and table booking services and the thousands of restaurants they work with. We saw an opportunity for a location marketing software platform that connects these types of brands with their local business partners so that the brand can take advantage of the higher engagement on the local business's social media pages, and that the local business can take advantage of the advertising budget and design resources of the brand. If a brand, for example, is an alcohol brand, the customized elements of the advertising are that the ads are published from the location's own handles, such as a pub. The post text is customized with the pub name and address. We pull in logos and pictures from pubs, and the call to action is specific to that local business's location. So it could be get directions or redeem an offer. These ads are typically targeted to audiences on social media platforms within a defined radius of that business. Now, the other key offerings of the Gladcloud platform after the advertising, doing social media advertising in this way from the local business's accounts at scale actually delivers reach at CPMs that is up to 4 times cheaper than national campaigns from the brand's own handle. Apart from the advertising, it's a customer marketing infrastructure that enables a brand to distribute and measure the cumulative earned reach from customized, co-branded social media posts that are published to the followers of local businesses at scale. And strategically, the B2B portal offering of a brand is further enhanced by providing integrated tools for outlets to better manage their presence on social media and review sites. We're also working with the Facebook Marketing Partnerships team to bring their store visits functionality from the retail sector to the independent hospitality sector, which will enable brands to better manage the resulting footfall that is driven from hyperlocal social media advertising. We've also developed a messenger bot to enable brands to distribute codes for the redemption of offers. And in terms of our first clients, we're working with Diageo and Heineken on initial rollouts across multiple European territories, and we're in discussions for next paid trials across multiple other sectors. We also have a proposition for brands to drive local revenue at large numbers of retail locations. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to your questions.
Keith, thank you very much. Stu, any questions or anything from the audience?
I guess I've got a very quick question, which is an obvious one, really, given current times. What's the opportunities, Keith, with bars and pubs and stuff being shut right now?
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity really is to prepare for brands to prepare for when the restrictions are lifted, because despite the fact that we've been working on this proposition for years and it's always been relevant, We believe it's actually even more relevant now because big brands need to support the local businesses that sell their products at scale, because local businesses are suffering at the moment.
Perfect, thanks.
Got another quick question here, Alex. Do you have any experience sending the solution through a brand owner for third-party outlets?
Sorry, what do you mean by that question?
Oh, I can't evaluate because I'm representing someone else's question here. So, okay. Experience thrilling through the brand owner through third-party outlets. Maybe the question person could answer, follow up, and we can come back with an answer from Keith post personnel.
Just to fill the time there, I mean, specifically why we've created such a platform is because we noticed that there was a gap in the location marketing software landscape, that there was lots of solutions for multi-location brands where the brand owns the locations that they sell their products through. And we saw that there was nothing catering for that huge amount of brands that sell their products through independently owned outlets.
Thanks, Keith.
One of the questions has come through. How many outlets are currently using the service?
It's currently in the hundreds.
Right.
But
perfect. Brilliant. Well, Keith, thank you very much indeed. We're now on to our third solutions partner, Toby from Miappi. Toby, over to you. Toby. Oh, I'll just unmute you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yep, all good.
Good stuff. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Just trying to get this presentation to move on. Come on. There we go. Go back a slide. My name's Toby Britton, and I'm from a company called Miappi. Now, we're an established software solution. We make it and find and manage consumer-generated content, sometimes known as user-generated content or earned media. And we make it easy for the brand to then get that onto their marketing channels. So I just want to focus for just a second on this quote. It's not a new quote, but there are many like it, but I think this sort of gets to the heart of why we exist. 92% of consumers say they trust earned media more than other forms of advertising. I think we can extend that possibly these days to influencer marketing as well. Bear with me.
The curse of the dreaded laptop.
Yeah, well, there's some slight problem moving these on, unfortunately. Let me just stop, if I may, stop sharing for a second.
If not, I can put up
I'm just going to go back into it and share again. Hopefully we are in business, but let's see. Can you see my screen?
You can indeed.
Yep.
Good stuff. Well, in that case, I'll just go through it like this. So in an age where the consumer does want it real and authentic, how can brands communicate that authenticity? The answer is with platforms like Miappi through consumer-generated content. So we help brands find that content, and then we know when the brand finds it, it makes it that UGC increases engagement and drives conversions. And the icing on that cake is it's also free to use and it's readily available. We find the content from social media, typically through hashtags and mentions and image tags, but we also have taken quite a few briefs recently where the brand has asked us to capture that directly from the consumer via, for example, a website on a form that we power. Our clients, once they've found that content, they can curate it and then distribute it to websites, e-commerce, emails, digital displays, and in retail environments and at live events. These are the markets where we work currently. And these are the brands that we either have worked with or largely do work with. I'm happy to take any questions you may have now.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Again, Stu, starting with you, do you have anything to ask?
Yeah, no, thanks, Toby. Just in terms of content-wise, it says that content syndication. What do we brands do when they don't have content, or what kind of content do you share?
Yeah, it's a good question. And typically, a brand will be able to find content out there that is relevant to their sector, if not their specific brand. I mean, there are so many conversations going on. So even if the consumers are not necessarily mentioning the brand by name, they're almost certainly having a conversation around the subject using hashtags. So yes, where brands don't have a specific campaign to drive that conversation, they typically rely on sort of ambient conversations that already exist.
Thank you.
Toby, hi, it's Ben here, Grey Hair Works. In terms of what are you seeing different now, you know, in the COVID crisis that we find ourselves in? Are people using Miappi in a different way, or is there any particular focus by which you're using it? I imagine it's in a certain way, but I'm sure you're seeing more than we might see.
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite an eye-opener actually, and we've received a sort of a flurry of briefs from brands wanting to reflect effectively the people in lockdown and their experiences, and other things like healthcare workers, and sort of celebrate their good work. And we had briefs from sort of Vaseline come in, and other brands that wanted to capture that content around the work that the healthcare workers were doing. But we're also seeing other briefs that are, for example, through production companies, you know, video production companies, who aren't able to send crews out to shoot video, and they're saying, listen, we need to capture the essence of this moment in time. Can we collect content about what people are doing at home? And actually, on the back of that, we've just created something on our website, Life in Lockdown, miappi.com/Life in Lockdown. And there's 9 galleries actually that people can see there, that basically snapshots from across the world of people's lives and how they're dealing with and thriving in some cases with their life in lockdown.
Last question, which has just come through from Pauline. Does Miappi own the communication with the original creator of the content, or is the original consumer left out as the brand starts to use the content?
We would always encourage, and most brands would do this without encouragement, but we have a feature on the platform, it's called Engage, and that lets the brand go back to the content creator and explicitly request permission to use that. And actually, once they have that permission, which typically they get sort of 45 to 75% of the time, depending on the brand, depending on the market, and sort of different cultural sensitivities. But once they've got that consent, the consent comes with agreement on terms and conditions. They can then not only push it to websites and digital screens, but they can take it off platform, off Miappi, and repurpose it pretty much however they like. So we have brands that take it and regram it on their global Instagram channel, or take it and cut it into videos and that sort of thing. But yes, typically they always seek consent if there's any doubt about that.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks very much. In that case, we've got a minute and a bit left. I wanted to thank everyone who has taken part today. I think we've learned from Stu that we've all become pissheads in this time of lockdown. Bolt has shown that we can still continue concept testing even when we are in our own homes. Gladcloud is showing us how we can do hyperlocal marketing and be ready to engage on a more local level as e-commerce resets to possibly a more localized approach forwards. And Miappi are giving us a sort of very clear understanding from real consumers in terms of the content they are creating. Thanks very much for attending. Our next event is in a fortnight's time on Thursday, the 7th of May. Let us know if you want to come along. We've got the HR director of the Discovery Channel and 3 solutions partners who will be taking us through how to create products driven by consumer demand, a diversity and inclusion solution, and particularly important during period of lockdown, how to engage with and motivate remote workers. Final thanks also to Lewis Silkin and Hayes McIntyre. Thanks for coming on today. We would really welcome any feedback you might have. If you want to get in touch with us, please just email bingo@greyherberts.com, and we're there to help. We really want to. We also want to know whether you thought this was shit or something we're doing again. So once again, many thanks. Catch up with you all soon.